Oh, buddy, I'm excited about this one. We've been trying to line this up a long time because this fella sitting next to me, he's been coming to the shop here for decades, but it's the first time we have sat here in the Nonsense Garage. Please welcome to the show three-time Cup Series champion, Joey Logano.
Wow, a round of applause.
Hey.
Wow, guys. I feel so special here.
Man, we spent the last half hour here before we fired up the mics of just how much time we've spent in this shop. What's your favorite it wasn't called the Nonsense. This is the Nonsense Garage. This is like the shroud of secrecy in here that everybody listens to. But we have done the go-kart track. We've done big wheels. We've done just a significant portion of our lives.
Hide and seek was the pitch black hide and seek in the shop.
Yeah, that was fun too. I mean, I just remember like it was every day. When you're 16 years old, you have like no responsibilities.
Yeah.
And where are you going? I'll drive 5 minutes up the road. I go to the Joy shop, and we would just hang. Everyone would end up here every day, and we would just do stupid stuff. We'd ride 4-wheelers. We'd go karting. We had those big wheels with the casters on the back,
and we raced those.
And how many of those did we have?
Probably 10 at some point in time.
Yeah, and we'd line up like structured races through the garage, hitting walls, hitting stuff. Ping pong over at your parents' place. Man, we had a heck of a time.
So
I miss it.
So when you moved from Atlanta up here, you were 15, right?
Yeah.
Was that post-Roush kind of days still on the back end of that?
Yeah, it was kind of like during that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were a couple year or two older than me, and we just became buddies, right? And you legitimately lived 8 minutes down the road.
Right.
I wasn't driving, so I had to hitch rides. It was either hitching a ride with Brandon McReynolds or I was hitching a ride with you. And we were going to Extreme Ice Center, which your dad built down there in Indian Trail. So we spent a ton of time. It's cool just to reminisce on a lot of that. But if you it's still absurd to me. Just granted, how you're sitting and all the things you've accomplished in your career was the goal. But did you ever legitimately think that that's your life right now was going to look the way it does?
Yeah. I mean, that was the plan all along, right? Our goals were to go cup racing and be a champion. That was the goal from day one.
Yeah.
So if that's your goal, you have to have that expectation as well on yourself. And there was plenty of expectations on me as well. So yeah, it wasn't surprising. To be honest with you, I thought it took a lot longer than it should have, because I thought when I came in I was sliced bread.
You know,
I
the next best thing since.
I was gonna be that guy, and then I wasn't. I was like, maybe we're gonna be back here shooting potato guns off again.
Yeah,
what are we gonna
be YouTube
do?
sensations.
Right?
Who knows, right?
I didn't know.
He told me a story yesterday when y'all were at the zoo,
Dude.
And I was like, yeah, I can see Joey saying that.
I was telling him, I said, the unwarranted amount of confidence and the competitiveness is off the charts. I'm like, we're walking. So Harper and Hudson have been in the same class their whole life. They're in first grade now. We go to end of the year field trip with the school. We're walking around. You got 3 kids. I got 2 kids. It's mayhem. In the middle of the mayhem, it gets calm for 1 second. We're standing at the freaking polar bear exhibit. And Joey just looks over and goes, "Hey, Skip, I think 3 of us could take that polar bear." And I'm like, what? Wait, what? He goes, "Yeah, we could take that." And I'm like, dude, there's no chance. He's like, "You're a sissy. We could definitely take that thing." I'm like, "It's a polar bear, Joe."
Yeah.
He's like,
you know what they say?
Yeah, but it's 3 of us. And he was dying on this hill.
I really thought we could.
And I'm
3 big guys, though. Not that I'm a big guy.
No, you said 3 of us.
Yeah, there was one other dude there.
Daniel Smith, rear changer 19, was the largest of the 3 of us.
Yeah, he'd have been. Well, and
you send him out first, hey, get a big guy, I'll back you up.
There's one sacrificial person on this whole thing. One person's gonna die. You got to get the bear hooked onto one person.
I hate to tell you, but the first thing I go for is the neck, and you're.
You got a lot of neck. You got a lot of neck, dude.
That's a good point.
That's what I said. I'm Joey's.
Who's the fall guy though? Someone's got to be the fall guy in the thing. But I really thought that I was very confident that if it's do or die, we're gonna figure it out.
You think you know the saying what they say about bears?
If you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly.
I love that saying too. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down.
No. Yep.
And if it's white, good night.
I told you that. I told you
said that there.
Yes, I told you that. I said, dude,
it's
now there's 2 things. The polar bear has been, that one that we were looking at has been in probably in what is it, captivity for a while.
That's
so I don't know if that's a good thing, it likes people or whatever, or if it's got fresh legs and it has been, and it's been
I
waiting
think it's
for
more
this
used
moment.
to people.
I don't.
It's okay. It's been fed. It's not hungry.
I'm not willing to find out, but I just wanted
lost its edge.
It was funny, and
anyways.
it all was, but it all made sense after like the All-Star race because people were like, "Man, why is Joey so frustrated?" And I'm like, "No, he's the most competitive person I've ever met. Like whether he loses a game of tic-tac-toe or he sees a wild bear that he's like, I think I can fight that thing. Like you don't understand. He just lost $1 million.
Yeah.
Like yes, he's irate, but like he was kind of pissed off at this polar bear that we don't even know that we were just walking by at the zoo. So like that's where I don't think people understand.
I've said this numerous times on the show of like I think people don't have a good idea of, because you have the biggest shift, I believe, from your off-track persona and your helmet on persona, right? Of like, I will die for this. I think you said that in the Full Speed show. Like, this is how committed you have to be. I don't know if I've ever really heard you talk about it too much of like that switch you flip.
Yeah, I just think it's there though. I don't like. I just want to win really bad, or really, I don't want to lose really bad. I think that's really what it is, because the pain of loss is far worse than the joy of victory.
It's a John McEnroe statement.
Oh.
But it's true. At least for me, like I don't know. When I go out there, I'm like, I'm here to win, and that's it. There's nothing, and I'm like that in everything I do. Like to Skip's point, like it's like everything. If it's business, I'm like, yep, we're out to kill. We're gonna knock them all out of business. That's the goal, right? Like it's to win at all costs. Like that's what we're gonna do. And I don't know. Like, but I mean, I think you can have that
successful, buddy.
You can have that attitude and not be a bad person.
I agree.
Right? Like I think you can still, like, it's okay to be competitive, but I think you have to be able to go home at the end of the day and be like a normal person, like be a good dad, be a good Christian, be a good husband. Like you gotta, like, I also want to be the best at that.
It's a hard balance.
It is a hard balance, but if the goal is just to be the best, period, on everything you do, then it's pretty simple. It actually simplifies it a little bit. Like if you go home, be the best dad you can be at that moment, or the best husband you can be at that moment.
Yeah.
And when you go to work, be the best race car driver at that moment. If it's going to the studio, be the best, make it the best studio in the world, right? Like whatever we can do, let's try to make it the best, or just continue growing it at least with consistent growth.
Amen,
is important.
And that's something that you have. So we've, like we talked about, we've known you since we were all teenagers, but the growth aspect, it's part of being a champion the first time. And then once you taste that winning and being a champion, you're like, oh, I know how to do it. I'm going to do it everywhere in my life. But the second part of that, you haven't always been able to flip that switch. And you've talked about it a lot and it's been documented, but it's been since you've gotten married and since you've been with Brittany that she's taught you to flip that switch better, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when we were kids, we were growing up, we were like racing.
That's it.
Racing. Like everything else is second. And
there's nothing else, matter of fact.
We were
racing big wheels.
That was it.
We're racing to the car. We're racing downstairs to Darlington. Pin that thought because we're going to get back to it later.
But like that was all of life. There was nothing else in our lives than just racing. And like that's an unhealthy balance looking back at it. But as kids, we don't know. There was nothing else in our life. There's nothing else important at the time.
There's way worse things we can be doing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least it kept us like
somewhat
from doing really bad things, right? Like we were pretty straight up kids. We didn't really do anything bad. I didn't feel like outside of donuts.
You didn't even
and
cuss
lots.
for like the first 5 years I know you. You'd be like,
I know.
frick.
I know.
Oh, frick.
The worst thing I ever did is donuts and parking lots. That was like that was the extreme.
Yeah, well, Joe's getting a little crazy out there.
A little in trouble. But like outside of that, we just raced, and I think the perspective on life helps, right? And like you get married, you understand like, okay, this is a very important thing here. Kids changes your perspective on everything, right? I mean, that's like the most important thing that
it's the best
I've ever had for growth as a human. Is having kids.
So talk about sharing now that experience, not only by yourself, right? Your first championship pre-kid or 18?
Yeah, 18. All we had was Hudson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but now he's like old enough to understand.
He was a baby. Yeah.
And now you got 3, right? And even before that, Charlotte, Roval, tossed the 48, put you back in the playoffs. We said it here on the show. It's like you can't give that son of a an ounce of life. He's a cockroach when it comes to leading up to that Vegas, like Paul Wolf, Joey Logano, you said if you watch the Full Speed doc on Netflix, like this is what they live for. This is the pressure they live for. They embrace it. Where everybody else is kind of like weighed down by it. You go win at Phoenix, win your third championship, put yourself in rare air. Then you get to share it with your family, even more so than ever. What was that like?
That was each championship had its own like special thing. Probably the first one and the last one right now like are the most special. Like the first one, like you finally reached the moment. You're in disbelief. I lost it a couple times before that. So you're wondering, like, man, am I ever going to just follow through on this thing? Like, I'm been right there for so many years. Like, when's it going to happen? So that moment was really special. And then this one, you know, I always, the coolest story to me was when we were rolling into Phoenix. You know, you come over the hill and you see the racetrack before you go over the bridge. And I had the kids in the back of the car. Brittany's sitting there beside me. I'm like, okay, when we win the race, I said, all you guys are going to be on the start finish line. We're going to get the flag together. That's going to be like the coolest thing. And then we're going to ride to victory lane together. All of us are getting in the car. I said, all 5 of us are going to jump in this race car and we're going to drive it to victory lane. How cool is that going to be? And the kids are like, yeah, you know, in the back seat, everyone's having fun. So, all right, well, we win. I'm like, oh, this is the moment.
Yeah. Open the
and they were
minivan
there.
door.
We all got the flag and we came back down. It was a really special moment. Amelia did not want to get in the race car. So someone has to stay. So Brittany stayed with Amelia. So I just took the boys around, which is like the coolest moment of the whole night. Really was, you know, you're chugging around the racetrack, doing a couple donuts with your kids in the car, and you're chugging around nice and slow, rolling into victory lane, and they got the flag out the window and they're yelling in there. Like that was the coolest because it's just you, right? The rest of the night is just people everywhere, everything's going on. But that is like the like moment where you have just a second to soak it in together. I'll forever remember that.
Is it elation, right? Is it up, or is it like the culmination of the countless hours you spend from January 15th or whenever you get back after New Year's, locked in to the end of the year to get the one goal you set out to do?
I don't even know if it's that deep. It's just like,
excited.
Man, we did it, right? And it takes the whole year to do it, but the last week is hard. The last week going into a championship race is just more of everything, right? It just the prep is more, the stress is more, the pressure is real, right? You can't hide from that stuff, right? Like I laugh all the time when we go to these media days on championship week. And it's just another race. It's you're just trying to make yourself sleep better.
Yeah.
You know it's not a regular race. You're trying. You're nervous. You're saying that, right? Like we're all a little nervous. Don't get me wrong, but like you have to embrace that moment. And everyone is just so like, it's just another race. We got to act like it's normal. I'm like, that's a bunch of bull crap. Like that's not what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
the biggest race of your life. Who are you kidding? You're racing for a championship in the top level in America of racing. Like, what were you thinking?
Now, does like a little bit of that perception come from doing it? Yes. But did it come from, like you said, you in the Final Four, you're up against guys like Tony, guys like Jeff Gordon, guy like the giant, right? To be the best, you got to beat the best. And I just feel like you have beat the best with this generation. You continue to beat the best in this current generation. Do you learn that perception, those little, like, not jabs, but like that mindset to be like, you know what, like, you're not looking at it the right way. I've been here before. I know what to do.
Yeah. Well, anytime you've done it more than once, it helps, right? But I mean, to your point though, I remember the first time I showed up and I'm like, geez, there's Kevin Harvick. You know, there's, and Kyle Busch was in there.
Kevin can be cold as ice too.
Oh, my man can play the games. Like he's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're sitting there like, it's like, and he would just take a couple things and then he would say it and you're like, ooh, you know, like, yeah, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. And he was trying to, you know, like he knew it. And like, I know Kevin good enough now that like, I know he plays the game, right? And we get along great now, right? But as a competitor, he's not much different than me when it comes to like, he's cutthroat. He's there to win and he's going to play the games.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of, it's fun now that he doesn't race and when we get to kind of BS a little bit. It's kind of funny looking back at a lot of the stuff that we did.
Man, he sat on the podcast this maybe a year or two ago, and he said that when he wasn't running at RCR, like all that stuff with Biffle at the Bush race when he grabs him by the collar, right? All that stuff was just for show because they weren't getting talked about enough.
Had to be in the news somehow.
I was like, man, that's chess.
When he spun you out at Pocono.
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
Yeah.
I still remember that like it was yesterday, seeing you walk through the little garage tunnel and just how pissed off you were. We locked eyes. And I was like, nope.
Yeah,
you walk back to the truck.
It was almost the best save of all time. I almost straightened that thing out. It
The
would've been
fact of the
amazing.
matter of that, and not a lot of people are going to get this, but that Ronnie Crooks, the shot guy, was the one that came up with.
He was.
She wears the fire suit in the family, and that you were in the middle of the holler and he caught you there and told. Did he catch you there? Like right when you were walking out, he said, "Remember, she wears the fire suit in the family."
He did say that.
And then you walked out.
I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
a good point.
Guess-
I'm going to use that.
Oh,
Watch
Crooksy.
this." Yeah.
Yeah, Grant, where's the mic?
One thing Harvick talked about, on the contrary, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, because on the contrary of that, one thing Harvick touched on was, okay, the elation of having kids and the joy of sharing it with them, but also, like we've seen this happen with numerous kids, and you've talked about it before, but your whole childhood and from a boy to a man, right, becoming an adult has been documented on TV. So
Yeah.
is there stuff now that Hudson gets on YouTube or these guys get on YouTube that they see and you're like, oh man, I hope they don't pull up that clip?
I don't mind if they do, and he hasn't yet, which is good. But when he does, it's fine, because I just say, yes, teachable moment. Hey, Dad's not perfect, right? Like, that's okay. Like, I think a little humility with your children, I think, is good,
For sure.
right? Like, I don't want my son to look at me like
Perfect.
I'm way up here, I'm perfect, I never make mistakes. Like, I want him to know I'm human, right? Like, and I think that's important for our relationship, because he sees when we go to the racetrack, everybody's wanting to talk to me, like, and it's weird. Yeah, I want him to know that Dad screws up too, and it's okay for you to make mistakes. And I make mistakes every week, like, but I also want him to be willing to make mistakes. I don't want him to like try to be so perfect that he doesn't take any risks.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want him to go out there and make mistakes right now, and I kind of want him to see Dad screw up sometimes.
Really?
Because then I think in a way it kind of shows like it's okay. All right. Like, I made a mistake, I screwed up, I'm gonna move on.
And I was
it's gonna
trying
be
hard.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, like, that's fine. I talk to him about that stuff. Like, that's what we try to do every night when he goes to bed. I lay in bed with him, and we talk about the best thing, the worst thing, and what'd you learn today? 3 questions every night. Tell me what. That's it. And he asked me the same questions. So, like, okay, and I got to have something for him too. So
You're like, I
good.
wasn't
It
the
keeps us
first time
honest.
you did that. You're probably like, man, I wasn't ready for that. I was asking you that. Damn, now I got to think about my
Yeah, I
day.
know. I was
Yeah.
like, what I learned today. It's a good question to ask at the end of the day.
You said something just about the week of the championship week. It's just more, right? More stuff, more interviews, more pressure inherently. What were your thoughts on Larson's week, right? Because nobody could have a more week than what Larson signed up for, or a more month, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously the outcome didn't go like he expected. But just zooming out as a competitor, racing alongside him, like, all the things that he was under and subject to, and all the things. Like, just broadly speaking, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I don't know if I actually know what he was under. I never driven an Indy car. I don't know what that's like. I know it takes the whole month of May to run up there. Mm-hmm. I know he's jumping in a race car that he's raced once before, on the biggest stage there is, the Indy 500. Even if you raced every week, that's a tough undertaking, right? Like, that's hard to do. And then you're going to fly from there to Charlotte you get the All-Star race, and go back, and then you got to practice and qualify Coke 600 car, go back up, and then go back down after the race. And
Tired just thinking
on
about
top
it.
of all that, and then he's still, fitting in sprint car races on top. I don't know how this kid does it. Like, I mean, I think, like, how, like, I don't know. Right? Like, I think about my life. What do? I do meetings and media, and then I drive. Like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And he's racing here, racing there, and then he's still, like, you find, like, he does a lot of media. Like, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
And
I don't know
Tony
how
did
does
it, right? Tony, no wife, no kids. Right?
Right.
Larson, 3 kids, wife, whole deal.
Where I look at it, you're giving up something somewhere. You have to, because it's just only 24 hours in a day.
Well, but I also don't know that he does any business stuff outside of it. I think that's his business, right?
I guess, yeah. I guess it still seems like a lot, though. I don't know. It's impressive. He impresses the hell out of me. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how
he's got a ridiculous amount of natural talent, though. I will say that. Like, he can jump in a car and go, right?
He will drive that vehicle as fast as it can go.
He's really good at that.
Yeah.
Right? And so I have to beat him on other things to beat him. Because if not, he's just going to go faster than me. I got to beat him on details. I got to beat him on the little stuff. The stuff that he won't have the time
to prep on.
Yeah. That's my only chance. Like, I know that. And that's okay, right? Like, there's NBA players that have a crap ton of natural talent, and they can show and go, and they're great. And then there's players that have to overcome some of that. I think I'm one of those players that I have to overcome some things. I'm okay with that. I've accepted that.
You want to list some of the other players that are comparable to you in stats? David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip, Tony Stewart, and Lee Petty.
Yeah.
Not a bad list to be
on.
Not bad.
You know, like,
yeah.
Sure, you might have to put a little more work in, but obviously you got to have both to not be a 1 or a 2. But
I'm not saying I'm a bad driver. No. I don't have any talent. I'm just saying there's just
the balance of such.
Yeah, and there's certain things that you're better at than others, right? Like certain types of tracks, certain types of cars. Like there's things that just fit your style. You know how it is, Corey. Like there's things that fit your style. That's just, oh, this one came easy.
Right.
I get it. And then there's other things you're like, oh,
that's a great point too, because I've watched it from being part of Team Penske, not on your team, but being part of it. Like your speed in the old car was great. You had great speed, everything. But then when the next gen car came, like you might have been a step behind on speed compared to Blaney or Larson. So that's where you've had to go. Instead of going, I think you see a lot of competitors be like, try to mold the sport to like, no, help me out. But instead of doing that, to your point, it's, well, what can I work on? What can I be stronger at if they're going to have more speed than me?
I had this conversation with Carl Edwards in the bus, like first stage. And we've just been talking about this car and how it all operates because he's starting to understand, right? And this is tell me if I'm too off base of how I'm articulating this car, right? You talk about your pace in the old car. I brought up the analogy to Carl. I said, Carl, when you would roll out to first practice or even qualifying and you would say, you know what, I don't have a ton of confidence. I'm going to do like a 97% lap. He said, yeah, I'd be 5th, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, you'd be 25th in this car. That 3% closing that gap and being on the 99.95, maybe 99.5% of the tire. That's where the juice is with this car more than ever. And you can't even like lay 1% of effort not on the table, or it shows up now not in 5 spots, but in 25 spots.
Yeah, because it's so close. All the cars are the same now, right? And you know, when Carl ran and in the old car, like the Gibbs cars, the Penske cars, the Hendrick cars, we're the fastest cars. Yeah. The Roush cars in their time, right? Like even when the balance was off or the driver messed up a little bit, it was still fast.
12th.
Yeah, it's still a fast car. Yeah. Like I'm telling you, I got done qualifying for the 600 this week. I came off before. I'm like, hell yeah. That was it.
Got it all.
I was a lap. You know, I felt good about it. I'm like, I got it all. 16th. I'm like, oh.
Is the scoreboard broken? What the hell's going on?
That should have been sign number 1 of the weekend, by the way. but that was, I thought I got after it. And it was all I had. Like, get out of the car. You got the shakes. You know, you're like, oh, I pushed myself on that one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, but it's where you're at these days. And 1/10 puts you 8th. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's just 1/10 is more than 10 spots at every track.
So we were having that debate earlier. Is it like this? Look, we hear with podcasts and everything, everybody's got an opinion, and we hear more drivers' opinions some weeks more than others about playoff formats or cars or tires or motors, like the state of the sport as it is to Joey Logano right now. Like, how do you feel the sport is and how it's progressed in your, what is this, year 18 for you, 17,
16,
whatever 17, it is? You've been through a whole lot of changes.
Yeah.
Right, you started with the wing on the back of the car. Let's just go back that far. So you've seen it all. Like, what's the state of the sport right now?
I mean, I think we're on it's obvious we're on an uptick right now, and the part that I'm excited about, it's the first time in my career that we've been on an uptick. You know, like if you get out of our little bubble of NASCAR, like our people, because we all like to complain. If you zoom out for a minute and you talk to other people, I don't know, we're selling out crowds. Like Texas was the most people I've seen in a long time there.
Yeah.
Charlotte was packed out.
Sold out.
All these places are doing really good. And so, like, it's easy for us to sit here and go, I wish the car did this more. Or I wish it was this more. But something's working, right? Like, can it be better? 100%, right? Like, we all have the attitude. That's why we're at the top level of we want to be better. It's never good enough, right? Like, that's why anybody that's in Cup, whether it's on the media side, the competition side, whatever, something's got to be better. And it's important for us to look at it that way. But sometimes we got to look and say, geez, like, I've been on this downhill spiral my whole career up until the last, like, 3 years.
Yeah. In terms of attendance, overall positivity around the sport, sponsorship dollars coming in, the gamut, driver salaries.
Yeah. Which, like, honestly, it kind of hurts because then you feel like you're part of the problem.
Yeah. Good
like,
job, Jeff.
Everything
Thanks.
was good until I got here, huh? You know, like, what's going on? But it's awesome to see the uptick. You know, like, is there things I want different with the car or things that I think we can try with the car? Sure. You know, do we have an avenue to talk about the stuff that's not here? Sure, I do. But I think you also got to look at and say there's a lot of positives going on right now, and we're so caught up with negatives in our society across every level. You turn on the news and it's all negative, right? Like it's still a pretty great country, you know. Like there's a lot of great things going on
for sure. I mean, if you did a T-chart, good and bad things of sports too, and there's a lot more good things, but the problem is we people on social media like to fixate on the negative things because that's what gets clicks and that's what gets the echo chamber and the vacuum going. But I got more of a peek behind the curtain of the sport being on the broadcast side this week with Prime. And our entire intent from the time we started having production calls in January was we want to be the first one, particularly with the post-race show, to tell the story no matter how whatever anybody, because I can ask you what your opinion of a good race is. It's going to be different than mine. It's going to be different than mine. It's going to be different than, John in Timbuktu. We want to be the first ones to explain why this is a good race and this is why it is right after the race, because we can change the narrative. If you look at Jeff Gluck's poll, it's been 50-50. It's been atrocious. The first 10, 12 races of the year, it's like 92% yes, because you tell the story as to why the is awesome, why it's fun, why the drivers are on the edge every single lap for 600 miles. And like, that's a large part of this thing too, of like how you serve up this sport that we love to do.
100%. I asked the question in the driver council meeting the other day. I said, what's the definition of a good race? Because it's very different for everybody.
Yep.
Like, what is it? Because it was right after the All-Star race. I said, okay, the caution doesn't come out and we just win the race. Just finish the race as the leader.
No, well, it'd be a bad race because then you won.
Yeah, because you won. Yep. This race sucks.
Because I won.
Yeah. Chase Elliott wins.
It's a great race. Yeah, so but you got to ask the question.
Yeah.
Like, what is like?
There's no
what
such thing.
makes it? Is it impressive if somebody leads every lap? Does that make it a great race? Well, it's pretty impressive. It's sometimes fun to watch. Like,
yes.
Sometimes a leader gets out there, and I'm like, I kind of want to know how far he can get. Like when Larson runs the Xfinity races, right? Sometimes it's quite the butt whooping. And sometimes I watch it. I'm like, I want to see how far he can go.
Yeah.
Like I kind of don't want to see the caution. I'm like, can he lap the whole field? I want to see if he can do it. I want to see what he's got.
Because you appreciate how hard that is.
Yeah. But then there's some people that like, okay, is a fuel mileage race? Is that a good race? Yeah. There's a lot of like, is it going to run? Is he going to run? I guess he's not. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's other, like, I just want to see green white checkers.
Right.
There's others just think that. You can't make everybody happy. But the good thing about NASCAR racing is if you didn't like that, it's a different track next week. It's a different race. Like if you don't like speedway racing, don't worry. We're going to Martinsville next week, right? Like, if you don't like that, we'll go to Nashville. We'll go to Charlotte. We'll go to a road course. Like if you want to compare it to F1, if you don't like what they got, well, guess what? It's the same crap next week.
And
you know what I mean?
If you don't like who's running up front, wait 3 weeks, right? Because it's all going to shift.
Not even.
Wait till next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and we're recording this the Tuesday leading into Nashville. This week was essentially what changed the tide of the 22 car. because I was running right behind you with caution come out. 8 to go, 9 to go. We'd ran 14th and 15th.
Yeah.
We were racing our balls off for that spot. Caution comes out. It's like maybe there were guys lean on fuel or something, and we cycled to like first and second. You get the lead. Just like I said, you can't give that son of a life. You can't get away from him. He's like a bulldog.
I like the cockroach. That's really good.
But like this week, essentially punched your ticket to go in the playoffs, and then you guys made the run. Is there like at the point in time of the year, the 22, your team like struggling, not very good.
Yeah.
You could probably say some of the same tendencies so far this year, but marginally better.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say so?
A little better. Yeah.
So,
but yes.
Tickets punched to the playoffs.
Yep.
Like
winning fixes everything. So
That's
if you've won a race already this season,
sure.
it's substantially better.
Yeah. So is the mood in the truck lighter? Is it easier in the post-race meetings? That doesn't make
it. On one hand, maybe it does a little bit, but on the other hand, I don't want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, we are best. To your point earlier in the show, you're talking about the pressure on this team, how we get better, right? Like, we are better when our back's pressed up against the wall, like the do or die. That's us. That's what the playoffs present, is that moment. In the regular season, like, I always try to find ways to apply pressure. Like, how can I apply more? And
how do you do it?
I just find things.
What
right?
do you do?
I do things like that. I say stuff, right? I mean, even when we were racing in Phoenix and we qualified well, and I'm like, yeah, and we're gonna put our foots on our throat, right? Like, yeah. Why do I do that? Because I want to add a little bit more pressure.
Yeah,
Amen.
I like that.
Up the ante.
It helps me. I like to think it helps my team. I don't know if it does or not, but it helps me. I love that part.
I said so. I got to kind of back it up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's not just in racing. I mean, you walk around the zoo and you want to fight a polar bear.
Yeah.
So it's just everywhere in your life. I'm starting to figure out.
Hey, I could do it.
Side-eye me again.
Well, I think I can try it.
There's three of us.
No,
three of us can do it.
Do you think do you like your chances more with a polar bear or a like a gorilla, like a silverback?
I think I got a better chance at the polar bear than a gorilla. A gorilla's gonna kick my butt more so, don't you think?
I think you're either way.
I mean, I agree. I think but if there's, I mean, the three of us, we can do it.
But buddy,
no. Here's the thing.
What could stop us?
If we face a polar bear, I just have to beat one of you two motherfuckers. That's all I have to worry
Buddy,
about.
we're all
just running the other way.
We're all dead, and he's storing us to come back for hibernation. That's what's happening.
I couldn't beat him. We did a 40-yard dash at Arizona State. Remember that? And we legitimately tied. You beat me by a neck. We run a 4.91. Remember that? We run that 40.
Where were we?
At Arizona State. We did that forward thing. Then we did like the pump pass kick.
Yeah. No one ever sees it coming either,
No.
which is great.
It pisses me right off.
Yeah. I got legs.
He's got legs. No,
went
nobody's
running
kind of like
No.
Joey. Like
Awkward,
he's got a hard time
no way.
walking, let alone running.
Dude.
He like his legs like a giraffe in the African safari. I'm like,
I
oh,
get the speed
I gotta
going.
get my horse a little bit. I'm gonna say we tied, but you're probably gonna say you won.
I think it's
you
the
got
only
me.
thing I won that day.
I think
so please give it to me.
I'll give it to you.
You won everything else. That you and Blaney won everything else because you guys are athletic. All I had was legs.
Straight line.
Give me the
straight line
freaking
power.
win on the straight line.
You
Would
know,
you please?
You know another race you won that people love to hear about is the race down the stairs to Darlington. So I'll try to keep this story concise, but it's a good one. You were 16. I was in probably 10th grade, maybe 11th grade. My mom picked me up every day from school. Come out one day, ran. It's like Friday. You and your was it FJ Cruiser or something you had, or was it Tundra?
That's what I had.
Tundra, maybe one of the two.
Oh, maybe in that.
You poke up, roll the window down. Hey, shoot, we're going to frickin' Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, where are we going? No, I got your clothes and everything. You stopped by the house, grabbed me a change of clothes. Picked me up, like, oh, there's a Hooters Cup race, an Allison Legacy race. We were going to stay down at Larry Mack's bus. Brandon's running the Allison Legacy car. We're going to watch Hooters Cup race, hang out. This must have been, I don't know, 07, whenever they repaved Darlington, because like the excavators and all the paving trucks are outside, and like there was commotion going on. We passed Darlington because you drive right by it on the way down to Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
You had never driven anything to that point, or never driven at Darlington.
No.
Because you were going to go there with a Busch car or something.
Coming up.
And he's like, "Oh man, it's the lady in black. I gotta feel it. I gotta touch it." Whip it in there, and there's a little guard shack, and we're like, "Hey, can we just, hey, Joey Logano here's next to the best things in sliced bread. You haven't heard about him yet? Okay, great. Let's go. Can we sign this? Sign this guest slip? Oh yeah." And the guy's like, "Oh, you can go up and them stairs right there." So we go up these stairs, and these are like 1950 Darlington Raceway stairs, and they're about this wide, and about this tall. Seashells, rough. RUFF, rough. So we just mosey on up these stairs, and we get to the top, and we're like taking it all in, right? Darlington sunset, and beautiful Darlington. Even they're paving this track. And Joey's like, "You think they'll freaking let us go on the racetrack?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably not, Joe. We're gonna run over by a steamroller. I don't know. Let's just go down there and feel it and touch it. I want to like feel the asphalt. Okay, let's go down there and check it out." So he's on the right side of this railing. I'm on the left side of this railing. And we start, the scene in Days of Thunder where the two guys are on the wheelchairs in the hospital, and like they look over and like one pushes a little faster and the next one pushes a little fast. Next thing you know, it's full blown wheelchair race. That's what this thing was.
This is the competitive part.
And
I've lived it.
And we like looked at each other in our peripherals, and next thing I know, his draft legs start coming out. And we're like double, triple skipping these stairs. And we're probably 10 stairs, probably a flight of stairs tall away from the bottom. And I get over my skis enough to I'm checking up. I concede. The second I did that, I look over and Joey's parallel to the head first.
Gravity has taken over at this point.
His feet were up. His face was down. His hands hit the bottom stair. He ends up in the bush. His glasses were like this. He's got bush coming out of his freaking shirt. Banged up hand.
My pinky.
Knocked the wind out of you. And you're like on the bottom stair like, and like you gain your composure, bleeding about everywhere in your body.
You can't even drive. So
can't even drive. He's like, "Hey, Shu." "Yeah, buddy. I freaking won."
That's it.
I was like, "Buddy, you can have it." So we load up. We drive past his guard check. I said, "Hey, I think we're supposed to sign out." He goes, "F that lift. Out of here." We drive down the street. There's a Burger King and a CVS. He goes and gets some burger and a cup of ice. I go, no. I went in and got some food and a cup of ice. He goes in CVS. You get like this first aid kit and a pack of cotton swabs like you remove your makeup with.
Bleeding all over.
Yeah, he literally was like putting Neosporin and sticking these cotton balls.
You meant to get gauze, and you got cotton swabs.
He rode to Myrtle Beach with like cotton swabs all over his face like he was Peter Cotton, and his hand in a cup of ice. Silence the rest of the way. All-timer story. All-timer story.
Darlington's tough. And now
it'll bite you.
Now they have put the external aluminum
scaffolding.
staircase, scaffolding looking stuff over the top of these stairs. So if you go to Darlington now,
OSHA approved stairs.
Is dangerous.
There might be some skin left.
Yes.
That's a backstretch now.
Yeah, it's a
backstretch.
If I didn't sign that, they could have a hell of a lawsuit,
That's what I was going to say. I was like, you should have went back and led the waiver.
Surely those stairs were not OSHA approved.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, I think you've answered this on the show before. What?
Before we get too far, I wanted to give you a chance because we've both been at Penske for over a decade. And Penske in the news a lot last week. I thought it spoke a lot about Roger when he came into town and spoke. But I just wanted to know what you've learned being around Roger and being around Walt and being around the Penske Corp for the last 10 years. Because I think in adversity, like they saw last week, when he shows up at the shop and talks to all of us, it just shows a lot of character and how to handle adversity. And like, how much of you being a champion, how much have you learned from Roger and all that?
A lot. To answer your question, a lot. And last week was hard. It was hard for Roger, and I really felt for him because he did that interview with Jamie Little, and he was as honest as you can possibly be. And that's who Roger is. Roger is built off integrity. And that's why last week watching him was hard. It was hard to watch happen, right? Because like this happened, and now his name's getting dragged through the mud. And I hated watching that because I know with everything that's in me, that is not who Roger Penske is, right? He's getting bashed, right? And I'm like, gosh, like, what a hard place to be as a leader and somebody that's built his whole business off of integrity. And to me, he's the most honest person I've ever met. And so when all this happens, it's like, oh, like it like kind of, it's just a tough spot, right? And then he has to make hard decisions, right? Because if that's truly what it's all about, you got to put your money where your mouth is,
yep.
Right? And what are you going to do about it, right? And so he had to make some really hard decisions with personnel, and then he came down and talked to us. And what's he do? Apologize to me. Like, why are you apologizing to me? Like,
you didn't do it for one.
He didn't do it, right? And like, so I'm just. He handled it in the most professional Roger Penske way you can ever imagine. Right? He did so good at it. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
Well, what I got out of the meeting
sucks.
that he had with all of us was I wasn't thinking he was going to apologize to all of us. I thought it was going to be like talking about how it's going to go. He apologized to everybody, and then he was genuinely hurt. Like, I think we all saw a tweet of like the shirt that said "Team Cheaters," and he brought that up, and he was just like genuinely hurt because of the investment he's made in the sport and in the track and everything that came ahead, and that's such an important week for him. But through that, like, I learned how to conduct yourself, and I've learned, I think, going in there as a 23-year-old and now being 35 or 37, however old we are, like, I've learned how to conduct business and how to be a man way substantially more than anything on the racetrack.
Because put yourself in his shoes for a minute, okay? If you bought the racetrack, you have improved the racetrack.
And the series.
In a lot of different ways. And the series. The museum, when you guys go to Indy, you got it. It's unbelievable. Like the nicest motorsports museum I've ever seen. Total Penske way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Right? You do all these things to help the sport. New TV deal. Like it's IndyCar's on an uptick as well right now. Like it's all going great. And just to get run into the mud on the first thing. Like, what my natural reaction would be was I would be pissed. I would be angry. I'd be like, I've done all this stuff to help everybody in this sport.
Yeah.
To do all this stuff to like help like the greater good of all the teams, the fans.
And you're gonna bury me for this?
And you're gonna bury me first chance you get.
Yeah.
Ooh, like I would be livid, right?
But he wasn't.
But he took. Yeah, he wasn't. He took it like just gracefully and said, "Yep, you're right. It's wrong. It's wrong." He owned it.
Made changes,
and you got it. And we're gonna move forward, right? We're gonna keep going, and that's why, like I said, that's why that word integrity is so important to him, because he handled that in the most graceful way. And I just, another thing that impressed me this week, right? I mean, people might be saying other things about the man this week, but I look at him and say, gosh, that was one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen, because I know what emotions have to be running through you after doing all that.
Well, after all that went down over the week, the same thing remains to be true before the week started and after the weekend. Roger Penske is a champion. He is a unbelievable person. He's honest. He's got integrity. And you know exactly where he stands for. He's making racing better.
Yeah.
No matter what he touches.
Yep.
So you got to appreciate the man. Also, you can know, too, Joey Logano, great dude, hell of a race car driver, 3-time champ. Thank you for coming on Stacking Pennies, buddy.
Thank you. Had fun. That's good times.